Oh, I never get tired of that John Tafon. Welcome. It's just one beautiful piece of music after a time, or one note followed by another great note, followed by another bring. It's wonderful. So anyway, woo! Here we go. Welcome to the Community Chorus Show. We have made it to the merry spring. I am Ryan Saunders, along with Andrew Howell, Angela Destry, Amy Blanchett, and Mike Freitas, and all different boxes here on your screen, up, down, left, right. Friends, how's everyone doing today on this fine, beautiful spring day?
Very good.
Well, it's amazing. We're in April, but we're kind of in May, depending when you're actually watching this. But the birds are out, the sun is shining, the grass is starting to come back to life.
The moon is super.
The moon is super. We have super moons. The vaccines are happening. Full disclosure for our audience is that I am just coming off my second COVID shot, and I'm still in a little bit of the fog. So if I'm more well spoken than normal, you'll know why. So,
this should be fun.
Should be a little pops extra for you. Yeah.
I've been keeping
the rest of us
are. Go ahead.
The rest of us are just in our normal fog. So
That's right.
Very normal. I've been keeping two careful tabs on the weather lately because I got overzealous a couple weeks ago up here in the north, where we got 3 inches of snow last week, and planted some lettuces outside. So tonight should be the first night I don't have to run outside and put little flower pots over each individual lettuce, which would be nice.
And plural for lettuces, by the way, lettuces.
I don't know. Lettuce, I think. So, but I've looked at the weather going forward, and somehow or other, if for at least the next 14 days, it's supposed to not get below 32 at night, which would be amazing. And then I think I'm in the clear.
And you can have plenty of lettuce, lots of heads of lettuce.
Yes.
Let eye. Anyway, well, speaking of lettuce, welcome to our salad bowl of a show.
Excellent tie-in. Nice
the
job.
hits just keep coming today. Boy, let me tell you, everything is floating around up in my little noggin there, too. I also got my hair cut really short, so I can see my brain a little bit better. Anyway, well, welcome to the Community Chorus Show. Again, Ryan Saunders. I'd like to thank all of our fine friends at the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts for making all sorts of Chorus of Westerly product happening, including this product and all the artistic product that you see coming out there. We're great fans of everyone up at Risca, and of course our friends at the Blue Mitten Thrift Shop on Main Street in Westerly, the shop that helps Westerly sing. Go there and buy some wonderful summer treasures, and you can wear it around town and look good and support the chorus. So that's there. Blue Mitten and Risca, thank you for all of your support. We at the chorus have been very busy. We've started to have rehearsals back in our performance hall with the kids on a limited basis, which is going well. We're still hopeful to see if we can make pops happen, but it's going to be in September if it happens. But things are starting to ease up, and we're starting to make some progress. So things are still slowly coming back for us here, which is great. But in the meantime, you'll still have plenty of fun from us on the internet for a few more weeks before we take a little bit of a summer hiatus. I know you're all upset about that, but anyway, we've got a lot more great stuff coming. Anyway, today we have a really special guest joining us today. Today's guest, before we bring him in here, but is Rudi Hauser. Rudi Hauser, many of you know. Well, first of all, there are many Rudi Hausers. I think there's like at least 16 of them. This happens to be, I think, the second version of the ones in our life here. There's Rudy the dad, Rudy the son, and Rudy the middle.
The Holy Spirit.
Rudy the Holy Spirit. Rudi Hauser, who is actually the chair of the board of the Chorus of Westerly, but also a member of the board of directors of the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce, a longtime active leader and participant in the scouting program locally, and of course the owner of the fabulous Hauser Chocolatier or Hauser Chocolates, because I want him to explain all that to me in just a minute here, because then there's Dan's Chocolates and all these other things right there. But one of our community's great citizens, great volunteers, and a huge support to so many of our town's civic organizations. So we are not, and we're not only bringing him in because he's the chair of the chorus board and therefore my boss and Andrew's boss about saying these nice things. He generally is a being and a fellow Star Trek fan. So Ben, let's beam in Rudi Hauser. Hey, Rudy!
I
don't
know. Love how Ryan had to add at the end. That's not the reason we're bringing him in. Like it was read from a prepared statement. We're not only bringing him in because
it's in the bylaws. Isn't it? It's in the bylaws.
How are you today, Rudy?
I'm fine. Just another day at work, and I have my cocoa tree behind me. We're all good.
I like that you got the theme. Now, have you had that cocoa tree there for a while, or did you just get it for these virtual things, or is this just part of the factory?
No, it's part of it's in the touring room of the factory. The cocoa tree was actually painted by Fal, my wife.
Oh, that's amazing. So it is lovely and beautiful. As we were commenting before the show started, that you have now the best background of anyone we've had on the show. No offense, Andrew, the tree of life behind your head there is certainly lovely.
The thing is, I'm growing into my fro. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do when I when I get past what the tree's doing behind me.
So Rudy, before we start, let's clear two things up here that I screwed up there. So now your business is officially Hauser Chocolatier, right? Or is it Hauser Chocolate?
Okay, so yeah, the name of the company is Hauser Foods Inc., but we operate as Hauser Chocolatier.
Gotcha.
But if you go online, it's hauserchocolates.com because chocolatier is tough to spell.
Gotcha. I like it. No, it makes sense. It makes all sense to me. And then you have Dan's Chocolates, which is a subsidiary of Hauser.
Yeah, so Dan's Chocolates was a customer of ours for many years, and then in 2017, we actually bought them. So we operate Dan's Chocolates. It's just another arm of our business.
It's just
and it's purely online.
Dan is actually another spelling of Rudy, but let's get to the Rudys too. Now you are Rudi Hauser, the second, right? Your father is Rudolph Hauser. You're the junior.
Yes, I'm the junior.
And then your son is.
He's the third.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. I'm just kidding. I actually do that.
16.
What's tricky about when you email Rudy, well, at least for me, is that over time, because there's different Rudys, I have to make sure I know which Rudy I'm emailing because it'll call up there. But your son, Andrew does that too. So your son probably has got a few emails over the years of like, nope, wrong one, here or there. Well, thanks for being on the show with us. We want to learn. We want to learn all about the chocolate factory and your family. And that's a big thing I want to talk more about because we've been talking about it lately. And I think it's a very interesting story. But before we get kind of further into this, so your family has had quite a long history now with the chorus of Westerly and also with Andrew Howell and Emily Howell, his wife. Can you just talk a little bit about how your family got involved, how you got involved, your kids along those lines, and how we talked you into being chair forever?
Well, okay, long history is in relative terms to this group. My history is very short with the chorus, but we moved to Westerly in '95 and moved right next door to the McCormicks. So Emily, now Howell, Andrew's wife. So I've actually known her longer than Andrew has.
Wow.
It's about the same, actually. 95 is when we met.
95?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Yeah. Met, but before you were dating. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
She'd have been young. Yeah.
We weren't dating in 95.
No.
Yeah, I was only 9, so. Yeah.
No.
96, you started dating.
And so we were next door neighbors. We started, so my oldest son, Rudy, was born in 97. And Emily started babysitting for my kids. And I know she and her mother always went away for a week in the summer to some place up north or something, And I think we tripped across a Summer Pops one year, walking through the park on a Saturday in June, but didn't know anything about it at that point. And then when Rudy was, he must have been 7 or 8, he had an interest in music, and Emily and her mom suggested that he might try singing with the chorus. So he sung 11 seasons.
Awesome.
So that was my...
That's the best way to try it.
Yeah, it's good.
Jump right in. So that was my introduction to the chorus. I didn't do a lot with the chorus other than go to every concert. My wife, she started on the board a few years in after Rudy was singing, and she was on the board for a couple of years. And then, and she passed away, and then I was asked to be on the board. So I've been on the board for, I don't know, since 2014 or so.
14, I think it's 14. Yeah, I think that's about right.
So
I think it's about right. So we definitely. It's funny that how you that it was all that simple. I think back actually to when Rudy, your son Rudy, first came to camp, and my wife and I were first married about that point in time. And one of my wife Elisa, one of her projects always was to be sort of the, what do we used to call her, Amy, like the Wendy lady of the trip.
Lady, yeah.
To make sure they would brush their teeth. And Rudy was her pet project of making sure every night Rudy was okay. Is Rudy okay? Is Rudy okay? Is Rudy okay? And just the other day, I happened to stumble upon an old CD of camp photos from that year.
Wow.
And I was just looking at how little and tiny, and his hair was big, but he was this little thing there. And then I saw a picture of him on the internet the other day. Now he's a man, and he's got a nice job with the school district right now, and it was just it really caught me. It really caught me to think about like this little boy when he first was there, and now he's graduated from college, and he's well into his life. But it feels like your history is short, but your history is actually pretty long with all of us.
And then for the last maybe 3, how long did Ravi sing then before COVID? My second son started singing after he graduated from high school.
Right.
So,
That's right. So, and then of course so your wife Val, who we all very much love, and as you said, painted the tree behind you there,
And this is Val.
and the one behind Michael there as well.
Yeah, I recognize that one. Okay.
And I have a Val Hauser right in my office right when you first walk in. She was a wonderful board member, and just a caring, beautiful soul. One of the things that I always, when I think about Val with you, Rudy, it's always like her not being with us always breaks my heart. But I often am so glad we have you. I'm not saying that one led to the other, but you have been a board member to us that has been just so, I'm trying to think of the right word for you here, Rudy, so connected to what we're trying to do, but tapped into us as human beings, like just really everything that you want to have, I feel like, in a board member, in a board chair, being active. Before you were active though with the chorus, you still are, you've been very active with the Chamber of Commerce, and you were past chair of the Chamber of Commerce board. How did you get involved over there, and what are some of the projects? I know there's one big project you've worked on a lot with the 2 of them with the Chamber. How did you get involved over there?
I got a phone call one day. I think this was probably in, oh God, how long ago? Probably around 2006 or so. Phone call from somebody one day. Hey, we need somebody to come sit on a meeting as an at-large member for a nominating committee. And I said, okay, fine, because we were members of the chamber. And just one thing led to another. Within a year, I was asked to be on the board. Yes, I've got a couple pet projects over there. The duck race, which I have chaired now for 11, 12, 13 or 14 duck races.
Wow.
I got a year off last year, unfortunately, and I'm getting another year off I got another year off this year, because the duck race should have been right around this time.
Right.
And my family and I all are very deeply involved in the Virtue Art festival, setting it up. My wife is also an artist in, Val was an artist in the festival as well.
Right.
So
Right.
we would always spend that entire weekend just in the park. So, but we continued to do that until, of course, well, last year there was a short little Virtu set up in the park in August. And this year it's going to be in July.
Oh, great.
They are going to hold one in July. So
is it going to be attempted to be like a regular one, or is it going to have to be reduced? Or
I'm not fully versed in all of that yet.
Well, we understand that.
My primary, is I help artists move in, I help artists move out.
Gotcha.
So.
Why do you, so with that, and then you're also very active with the Scouts too, and you're still active with the Scouts. Are any of your children still doing it, or are you just still volunteering?
No, my kids have both aged out. My second son, Ravi, and then my third son, Rushmi, were both Scouts. Rushmi actually made it to Eagle Scout with Troop 10 in Westerly. So I'm still involved because it's fun, and we obviously haven't done a lot this last year. It's been a little challenging, but it's I enjoy it for myself, getting out in the woods too. So it's a good excuse for me.
That kind of segues me back a little bit here. So I wanted to bring all those things out. Is there anything else I'm missing, Rudy? Because you do so much with all these different places.
Those are my three primary. Well, okay. One other. I'm not on the board or anything. I'm just a volunteer. So my son Ravi, who sings with the chorus, also was in a drum corps, 7th Regiment, based out of New London, Connecticut, and he marched 4 seasons with them before COVID ended it, and now he's aged out. So, but so I do driving for them. I pull the trailer around. I've gone on tour with them a couple times. So it's just a lot of fun, and I enjoy. I have fun doing it, so I don't mind volunteering my time, and I know it's other people appreciate it. So,
I mean, the level. So, I wanted to bring it out because I feel like your level of volunteer service in town across different sectors, if you will, is just phenomenal. Sometimes I wonder how you have time to do it all. I mean, we talk a lot, so I understand a little bit about how that all works, and sometimes you don't have time; you just do it. But going back a little bit with your family here. We'll talk about the chocolatiers and Switzerland in a little bit here. But you came here, you came to Westerly from Connecticut. But when you were growing up, what sorts of things were you doing? I mean, were you involved with music or Scouts or things like this? Or how did you become so very civic minded?
I have no idea. Well, in terms of the civic mindedness,
yeah.
My parents, my mother was I forget the name of the organization that she volunteered for when we were young. And I went to a Catholic school, so there was always volunteering. My parents both ran a food tent for the annual carnival and stuff like that. So I suppose that, kernel of giving back, came out of that. I only made it through Cub Scouts. I didn't go into Boy Scouts. I did not do a lot. The only thing I really did in, what a lot of people don't realize, I did musical theater in high school.
Wait, what?
So I was.
Look at the bells go off now, huh? Continue.
I've been trying to get him to come sing with us.
It's still, we've had this discussion. I can't get through most music.
Yeah,
I can appreciate it. Performing it anymore, not so much.
So what did you perform in though? Now we can't let it go.
I was in Greece. I was Eugene.
Aw, that's perfect.
I was in, and the other shows were sort of very older musicals that nobody's ever heard of. The Boyfriend, Of the I Sing, and I always forget the fourth one. But I worked my way up. They were always musicals. I actually had a musical solo in the last one, my last year. So, that was terrifying, by the way. So that,
that's good.
And in college, I was a DJ for an alternative rock college radio station.
Wow. What was your DJ name?
Just Rudy.
Wow.
DJ Rudy.
It's a pretty.
Right, is anybody else
there aren't a lot of
pretty certain
Rudis
that you
around,
should be the
so it
DJ for
works.
the next chorus function? I mean, come on.
I mean, these are. I mean, Andrew. I don't know who we're gonna have for guest artists for Summer Bops, but we can have some, DJ Jazzy Rudy here, and then he can come out and do a little bit of Grease or something like that, right?
I'll find an old school record player. He can scratch him with the best of them.
Oh man.
No. Just not that kind of DJ. Just played the music. Did as little talking over as required, and that's about it.
The smooth sounds of Rudi Hauser.
So you have this singing history that you've kept from us all of this time.
You know what the hell?
I knew about it.
Andrew knew about it.
Well,
Yeah.
then you both kept from me all this time.
Sorry. We have so much Star Trek to discuss.
Oh,
so,
I know. It's a whole other show in which we have usually once a week, but we just don't broadcast it to the internet.
I've got a board question, which Ryan probably wouldn't or couldn't ask, maybe, but because I'm dealing with a nonprofit board where we're growing all the time, and I often use the chorus as a model for a lot of things we're doing because I consider us like we're a few years behind where things sort of grow to, and so the amount of things that you're involved in is magnanimous, which is fantastic that you somehow find the time to do the things that you do, and so what is that piece like for you to be the chair of this particular board? And my time on the chorus board was when it was making the transition into the kind of board that it is now, and
right.
It's a smaller board that governs in the way that it does. And so what is that like for you, that piece of sort of Ryan and Andrew being the men that they are that run the parts of the organization that they do, and how hands-on do you feel like you have to be, and what's that relationship like? And that piece is really interesting to me.
So I've been chair of 2 boards. I spent 1 year. I spent 1 year as chair of the chamber board, and I've spent few more than that so far as the chair of the chorus board. As far as being a board chair, if the people running the organization know what they're doing, it's wonderful, and I love doing what I do because I look at myself as an ear and a sounding board. I don't really do much. Ryan and Andrew do it all. So
But that's great that you guys are able to be connected in that way and have that relationship. And, I think that's one of the reasons that it's so exciting that you're doing what you do, is to be able to support the chorus in the way that you do and support them. And which is really why I asked, is that form that relationship that you guys have, and being able to count on each other in that way is really awesome.
I'll second that. Amy, if you want to put that in the minutes.
and being
She's a bylaws gal.
Being that sounding board and being that sounding board and cheerleader for the things that we do is super important to motivate the rest of the board as the board chair. And as you all just heard of all of the tentacles that he has throughout the rest of the community, he's also able to connect us all over the place in that way as well, which is another behind the scenes kind of mover.
So key.
Us out there. Yeah.
You make it sound so much grander than it is.
You make it sound less so.
I think the thing is about any sort of nonprofit board service is that for the most part, unless you get to certain types, there's no manual handed to a volunteer who comes in to do this of how to do it, and that their job is a level of oversight, for the governance and the fiduciary side, but the cheerleading side is a part of it. Now, it's not to say yes, yay, rah, rah to everything, but I think the trick, getting your point, Andrew, the trick is often to have a board chair or board officers in particular who they don't always have to agree, but they're always in sync with their senior staff, because they're just, we can make Rudy's life easy. He can make our life easy, but we're all in sync. Like, do we know what our objective is here? What are we trying to achieve? If it's, and if you can be on the same page and have open communication all of the time, then those sorts of relationships can work well. It's when you get people who are just totally on different pages and I guess it's when staff and board drift off of the focus on the actual mission of what we're trying to do. Sure. So if either side, if it's a matter of, if one has a set agenda that's not in sync with the other, that can get a little sticky. but the nice thing I think about Westerly, including your service on the West and the Chamber Board, Rudy, is that, it's this nice little town where it's Westerly, so we all know each other. We all know, like we all have preconceived notions of everybody, but it is a small enough place where, you can find board members who understand the dynamics of this or dynamics of that, or can go out and be your ambassadors in the community or help out, or just to be the sounding board. So I think it's a very important thing. Do you, with board service, do you think, I mean, I guess it's one of those things is like, do you think it's, well, I mean, let me rephrase this. You've been on big boards and little boards now, or different size boards. Is there a model that you feel like you enjoy being on more, like a bigger board or a smaller board, or how has it felt to you?
Well, I wouldn't say, okay, so the initial stepping into the chorus board was different.
Yes, that was the Council of Trent.
That was
name?
a capacity of 40 individuals that, and the reality is, it might have served for its time when it was, but, a smaller board between, 10 to 20 people is much more nimble and much more able to, I think, affect the work that needs to be done. You put too many people in the room and you don't get anything done. So yeah. I appreciate the size of the, of the boards that, I've been, working on. So
very good. So okay, now I want to get to the cocoa tree. I want to get to chocolate. So we were talking about a week and a half or so ago, and we were talking about your family going all the way back to Switzerland and how you have family still there, and about your business and how it came to be. And I think the common person, when they think chocolate, they think of two things. They think of their Hershey bar, or three things, maybe. The Hershey bar, the Russell Stover's chocolates that are in the grocery store on Valentine's Day, or they think of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. That's all they think about, those three things. But the art of making chocolate, and I believe it is an art, is long dated, and your family has been doing this going all the way back to whenever. Tell us a little bit about tell us maybe a little bit about what makes what you do different from all of that, but also a little bit about your family history of being chocolatiers and how that came to here. How did Swiss chocolate making get to Westerly, Rhode Island?
Well, so my father learned his trade in Switzerland where he grew up. And then he immigrated to the United States in 1963. And worked in, so he did what we would today call a double major. He had an apprenticeship both in regular food and then also in pastry, which included chocolate. So he worked as, pastry chef or a head chef in a number of, restaurants and businesses, through the years. And then his first business was a small bakery in Bethel, Connecticut, where we grew up, where I grew up, where my parents settled. And they had that for a few years, and then went into the catering business, off-premise catering, had that business for a few years, which was pretty lucrative. But the problem was everybody wanted him at their party. So it sort of limited how many events you could, do in a weekend. At the end, we got to a point where he was doing the hors d'oeuvres at one wedding, drove off to another wedding to do the, main course, and then be at the third wedding for dessert, in one day. When we had crews that could run those weddings without him, no problem. But, people wanted him there. So we sold that business and went into chocolate. So in the late 1980s, chocolate had been changing a lot in the United States. And there were new products being imported from Europe and that were making things easier to make. There were little truffle shells. So, and oddly enough, they were actually invented in my father's hometown by another company that happens to be there.
Wow.
So we imported the equipment and set up to make shells here in the United States, and things just sort of mushroomed from there. So this was in Connecticut where we started the business, and within 5 years we had to, move and grow. So we ended up in Westerly. We actually almost ended up in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Wow.
What?
Well, they had a building all picked out, was 2 hours in the other direction. And literally one night I was reading the newspaper and there was an ad in the Danbury News Times from the Rhode Island Economic Development Corporation, and it talked about beaches and sun and sailing. My parents had just gotten into sailing the year before, and there's no water in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
No,
So
that's
I said,
the minor league baseball team. That's about it.
I said, should we reconsider? And they contacted the EDC and looked at a couple of places, one up in Lincoln, one here in Westerly, the land here in Westerly. And then that was it. We moved to Westerly. We built the building. We've been here, and the business has been here since 1990. So
Wow.
Wow.
I can't believe it's done so much of that small whim. Someone send that newspaper a thank you letter.
yeah.
Well, I mean, think about that little ad, and frankly,
Exactly.
its impact on our community. Like, I mean, you coming, not just being your family and all of what you developed here, your roots, but all the people who've worked for you, the impact you've had on the community of all these different organizations. That one little ad. You're right, Andrew. We should find that person who placed that ad and be like, what played? Like.
It is an odd little kernel of, it's amazing how the smallest little things in life can just totally change things.
I mean, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania to Westerly, Rhode Island. You're right. That's like two. I mean, it's not the other end of the country, but those are two distinctly different places.
Yeah.
So your dad. So now your father is still, and your mother too. I think they're still active in the business with you. Now you own the business.
Less so. Yeah, I own the business. They're still, relatively active. Less so as the weather gets nice and their boat is on the water and they can be there.
Gotcha.
Good for them.
So back in Switzerland, though, where he came from, so did he? You said that the one of the inventions for the truffle shells was in there. Is that what area of Switzerland is that? And tell us a little bit about your roots in Switzerland.
Well, so they're from the German-speaking section of Switzerland. About 45 minutes travel from Zurich to his hometown. His hometown is a small little city of 5,000 people or so. It's the capital of their state, or canton, as they're called. His family is all still in Switzerland. He was the only one who left. He said, "That's it." He wanted to seek his fortunes elsewhere.
Are any of them into chocolate or anything?
No,
any of these?
My father is the only one who he was. So my father is the only one who didn't go to a traditional college route, which kind of was a disappointment to his father.
Yeah. Well,
he's the only one who went into a trade, The others, my one of my uncles is he's retired now, but at one point he was head of security for the Swiss railroad system. My other uncle was the marketing director for a large brewery in Switzerland. For years. And my aunt, she was educated, was a housewife and raised a family. So, but they're all still in Switzerland.
But he's here continuing a Swiss tradition in a different country. Well, you are too.
Exactly. Or creating, yes, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about your chocolate making process. I mean, not the ingredients or how it works, but how do you define yourself? How do you define yourself as a chocolatier, if that makes any sense?
Well, I mean, our primary product and our is truffles. So little round chocolate balls of filled with ganache.
Of joy.
That's our primary product, our essential know-how. And we turn that into, we sell product, under our name, but we also do a lot of contract manufacturing for other candy companies. So, we utilize our know-how and the equipment that we have to, try and provide as much, chocolate as possible.
So if
go ahead.
Is
there a piece that gets complicated in that? I'm assuming that you must feel very proprietary and proud of the recipe of the things that you do and your ability to make the things that you make. And then so when you make something like that and then someone else slaps their name on it after you sell it to them, how does that piece work? Or does it not matter? Is it just you're making chocolate and you love that it gets out there?
so it sort of fits within the behind the scenes guy that I am, the chorus is a great thing and does all these wonderful things, but I am not on the face of it. I'm
Right.
quite all right with that. If my equipment is running and I'm making money doing it, which is the ultimate goal of a business, right?
Right.
Sure.
I'm making a living doing something I enjoy doing. And if it's got somebody else's name on it, so be it. I can go into a store and I say, oh, hey, that's mine. That's mine.
How much of your business would you say is sort of shadow chocolate making?
These days, probably at least 60%.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Very little of our retail store is maybe 10% of our total business.
Interesting. So
Will you tell people about that? What is this retail store you speak of, and how might people find it?
Thank you, Andrew. Good segue. We're working on segues. Good segue.
Well, we have a retail store on the backside of our chocolate factory. It's in the Airport Industrial Park in Westerly, 59 Tom Harvey Road. And we do have a touring room, which right now I am precluding for anybody from coming into because I'm using it as my studio. But you can actually see through a glass wall the inner workings of the chocolate factory and go on your own self-guided little tour. So, and we have a full offering of all of our truffles and products and such. So,
and you can there's hauserchocolates.com and also danschocolate.com too, right? That's the other.
Danschocolates.com is our primary online. Although hopefully within the next 6 months we're going to be redoing our website so it's fully transactional as well.
It'll be mikeschocolates.com.
Mike's Chocolates. Just by every person out there.
Well, Mike, if you want to do Mike's Chocolates, I'm happy to sell you the chocolate.
There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
Of all the because I know when you're doing contracts for these other businesses that we don't know about, that you have confidentiality and stuff with them that you can't tell us a little bit about. But is there any crazy particular order that you've ever had, or what are some of the biggest orders you've ever had, or some? I know you've told me over the years of a couple of them, and it's just been like blown my mind of how much chocolate you're making. But are there any good stories along the lines of things that you've had to do or customers?
Well, I mean, it's been a long time now since I did any work for them, so it's really not bound by any confidentiality anymore. But we actually did some product development work for Hershey years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that was interesting. Totally different mindset and product type. It's the difference. You take a Hershey bar, the ingredients that are in that Hershey bar, and you take a bar of chocolate that I'm working with and making. The ingredients are the same. It's all about what you do to those ingredients that makes a product completely different from one another.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting. We did years ago when we first moved to Westerly. We were doing a lot of chocolate shells promotional work for liquor companies, and we did one for Rumpelmans, which was a mint, liqueur, and we had a contract for 1 million liquor cups that they would take those and use them for product sampling in bars and stuff like that.
Wow.
How long does it take to make 1 million liquor cups?
Well, at the time, it probably was a 6 or 8 month project.
Holy moly!
So,
is that one of the biggest jobs you've ever had?
It was one of. Just prior to COVID, we had a retail customer that we did private label for, and we made 1.8 million truffles in about 6 weeks for them.
Wow.
Then, of course, COVID came, and that was the end of that.
So, Rudy, over the years, how often have you, or maybe you still do this to enjoy it, and I'm sorry, I don't know, but the actual getting your hands in the chocolate and understanding that piece of that, is that something you were taught by your dad as a kid, or how much of that have you been involved in? I mean, do you enjoy that piece, or do you still get to do that, or how does that work?
So I am a certified emeritus chocolatier through the Retail Confectioners International. So yes, my hands are in chocolate. I know what to do with the chocolate. I don't do as much daily as I used to, because I'm trying to focus more on running and growing the business, or regrowing after this last year. But I still do get my hands in chocolate every so often, and it's fun. My son Ravi, my second son, he actually works now full time for me, and is not exactly sure how future wise where that goes yet. He's young still, but he's got quite a knack and an interest in food as well. So he's got his hands working in chocolate more often than I do these days.
Did you ever have a time where you weren't sure if chocolate was the business that you wanted to go into for the rest of your life just because your dad did it? Or did you always know, like, this is the thing for me?
So the chocolate business, we didn't start till I graduated high school.
Right.
My first job was frying donuts in my father's bakery at the age of 12 on Saturday mornings. I would go into work at 3 a.m. with him, and I ran the fry-o-lator at 12 years old. I don't think these days you can do that anymore. But I have worked for somebody other than myself or my parents for one summer in college. Other than that, I've worked, for or with my parents, for my entire career. And, so this has just always been what I've known. I've enjoyed working with them. I've enjoyed working in food. So here I am. It is a small business, and, small businesses have their challenges. I won't lie. There have been plenty of days over the years where I wondered what the heck I was doing. But, I'm still here. I've survived the last year, which is, nothing short of a miracle. So.
Well, it's a real credit to, I think everyone in town is very proud that your business is here. Like, it's neat to say that. But here's my question is, how much of your product do you eat? I would eat it all.
I don't eat as much as I used to. I try to. So I am capable of eating well over a pound of truffles during the day, just grazing without even thinking about it. I try and limit my tasting to the end of the day, because then I can get out without having eaten so much.
Gotcha.
If it's one of those days where I'm required to do some taste testing early in the morning, it's just, hey, it's a dirty job. Somebody's got to do something.
What is your preferred truffle? If you had to pick one. The show's over.
There's no way to. It depends on the day. It really does. I mean, I don't like white chocolate. It's not really chocolate. It is real. It's legally chocolate because it's got cocoa butter in it, but it's just sweet and it's good for decorating, and that's about it, in my opinion. I got plenty of customers who like it. That's fine.
I like how it's legally defined as chocolate, though. That's just always, it's like the Germans and their beer purity law.
This is something that I find important. Yes. So those ice melts, or whatever they call them, ice caps that you find, in the craft stores that are all different colors, that's not chocolate. It never saw a cocoa bean, ever. White chocolate should be slightly yellow, and its fat should be cocoa butter, and that's legally white chocolate.
How about
like
that?
This is technically a television show. This is technically entertainment, right?
Well, actually, so when you say legally, like, what is there? Is there an American piece that governs that? Is there an international? Like, this is what chocolate is. How does that work?
There is the FDA has a standard of identity for a number of different food products. In the case of chocolate, so dark chocolate must be cocoa butter, cocoa liquor, which is basically just ground up cocoa bean, roasted cocoa bean, sugar, vanilla, and a lecithin of some sort. That's the standard of identity. More ingredients, or take some of those ingredients out, and you're not really chocolate anymore. In the case of milk chocolate, you can add milk powder, and that's, so white chocolate standard of identity is sugar, milk powder, cocoa butter, and some vanilla. And but it has to be the cocoa butter as the fat.
And what's your go-to? You got to pick one. Based on today, based on this show, what would you be gnawing on right now?
Gnawing on. That makes it sound so elegant.
I was raspberry truffles that were out last week because we were just making some. I was eating a few of those. Yes.
There you go.
It's a dark chocolate one. I do tend to prefer
with this show. I would think to go with this show, you'd need like a CBD one or something.
Sadly, the state of Rhode Island will not allow us to make CBD products.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Yet. Growth
Yet.
mindset.
Yet. I can
We're
think of
trying.
probably
It's not easy, the regulations. Not easy at all.
I can probably think of some investors that we know whenever it comes time that we can think of there. Okay, well, Andrew Ledastri. So we're going to do two things with you, Rudy. Here, we're going to do. Don't cue it up yet, Ben. We are going to do the lightning round with you in a minute, but we're also going to do a Mad Lib with you. Before we do the Mad Lib, Andrew Ledastri is going to ask us for some quick things, and then he'll put it together while we do the lightning round. Go, Andrew Ledastri.
Okay, there's 20 some words, folks. So not a lot of crazy thinking here. Not the first thing you've got. Ryan Saunders, I need a number.
6.
Andrew, can I have a noun?
Table.
Rudy, a verb ending in ing.
Tempering.
Wow.
It's a chocolate thing.
Michael, an adjective.
Ginormous.
Amy, an adjective.
Flamboyant.
Andrew, a plural noun.
Mice.
Ryan, a plural noun.
Trees.
Rudy, an adjective.
Spectacular.
Amy, a nonsense word.
Zoinks.
I'm sorry, what?
Zoinks.
Zoinks.
Michael, a chocolatier in the room.
Pass. Rudy.
Okay.
The second.
Ryan, a verb ending in ing.
Floating.
Andrew, a noun.
Keep getting the nouns. File cabinet.
Nice.
Good. Rudy, a plural noun.
Dipping forks.
We're getting there, folks, and this is perfect. Thank you. Amy, a verb ending in ing.
Waltzing.
Andrew Howell, a nonsense word.
Flibberty gibbet.
Of course. Ryan, a person in room.
Amy.
Only Ryan is in that room.
That's right. Me.
Michael, a food.
What?
Michael, a food.
Chicken.
Okay. Rudy, a nonsense word.
Yikes.
Andrew, a verb.
What's a verb?
Action words.
Oh, I know what it is.
Action word. Yeah.
Flip.
Nice. Ryan, an adjective.
Blue.
Amy, a noun.
Raclette.
Ooh.
Raclette.
I had already written it down, and I put both T's in. Thank you very much. Rudy, an adjective.
How many more words you have?
Cheesy.
What's that?
Cheesy.
Cheesy.
Nice.
Awesome. Ryan, a noun.
Baseball.
Amy, an adverb.
Lovingly.
And last but not least, Rudy, an adjective.
Gooey.
Perfect.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody. I'll put this together.
Andrew's going to put this together, and while he puts it together, Ben, we're going to move on to the lightning round. Cue it up. All right, this is very easy. I'm just going to say one of the co-host names. They're going to ask you a question. You can't think about it, and we will ask you the questions. Except, Andrew, last am I not asking you, or are you doing your
Nope,
thing?
I'm doing now.
Okay, here we go. So, Andrew Howell, go.
What is your favorite thing to pair with your chocolate?
A glass of milk.
Very good. Amy, go.
For people like me who are now desperate for chocolate, what time does the store open tomorrow?
When is this airing? 10 a.m.
10.
That's
10
true.
a.m.
When is it airing? Mike.
What do you get when you guzzle down sweets?
Oh no, I didn't hear the line.
Eating as much as an elephant eats.
Yes, right.
That leads to my question. Is Charlie in the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory true?
That's how Rudy got the factory.
Not in my factory.
Okay, Andrew, go.
What is the weirdest thing you've ever thought of putting in a truffle, even if it didn't work out?
The weirdest thing. Well, okay, black vinegar, and it did work out.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, Amy.
At Hauser Chocolatier, what is the biggest chocolate holiday? Which holiday sells the most chocolate?
It's still always Christmas.
Interesting. Michael.
Powerboating or sailboating?
Well, sailing is fun, but a lot of work. I own one of each.
All right.
How many rubber ducks are usually in the duck race?
20,000. Well, 20,000.
Wow. All right. Andrew, do you have another one?
What is the largest item you've ever made out of chocolate?
The largest one that we have made and sold, single item, that about 50 pounds, a large rabbit. We're contemplating building the world's largest chocolate lighthouse.
Wow. Why are you contemplating this? Do it.
Because I have to find the time to do it.
Is this going to be hand carved?
Most likely, yes.
You could bring it to Dan Van Winkle's house. Put it where his other light.
Oh, I can't. It'll be 2,000 pounds if we do it right.
Wow.
Where would it go?
Somewhere in the touring room.
The Point Judith Breakwater. That's right. I mean, it'd be good for a couple hours till the seagulls find it. All right, Michael, do you have another one? Or are you good?
What did Auguste Escoffier invent?
Ganache.
The truffle.
Actually, not so much. No, the ganache was there, but he figured out how to make it. Yeah, he added the cream into the chocolate, and oh, yes, it was wonderful.
Some say it was an accident. Who knows?
And yes, some say it was an accident. And there's like 3 or 4 theories as to who invented it, by the way. I just did a piece on this.
Wow.
Right, Amy,
Mike,
do
your
you have another
depth
one?
of knowledge is so amazing.
It's all right here.
Yeah.
Amy, do you have another one?
Yeah, what's your favorite musical?
God. Somewhere between well, okay, the most emotional one is name out the door. France. A revolution.
Oh, Les Mis.
Oh,
Les Mis.
thank you.
Limits.
Les Mis, yes.
I like how that was a game for us.
Yeah.
Okay, my last one for you is, what is your favorite candy outside of anything chocolate?
Oh, outside of chocolate.
Yeah, no, it can't be chocolate.
Ooh. What else
Swedish
is there?
Swedish
What else
fish.
is there for candies?
Yeah.
Well, I guess yeah, like peppermint candy canes.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. Does anyone else have any more questions? All right, Ben, close up the lightning round. Woohoo! And now, to dramatically end our wonderful time with you, Rudy, it is time for you to hear our chocolate Mad Lib, created by everyone here on the call and read dramatically by Andrew Ledestri. Cue it up, Ben! Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Uncle Bongo Ledestri. Take it away, Andrew.
Hey, everybody. I would like to tell you today the completely true history of Swiss chocolate. So, back in the 6th century, the Swiss made use of their strategic table as a transit point for goods passing through Europe to begin tempering chocolate. Back then, chocolate wasn't the ginormous eating experience of today. Chocolate was at once gritty and flamboyant. It wasn't until much later that the chocolate we know today came into existence, thanks to a legion of Swiss mice and chocolate trees. In 1819, the first spectacular chocolate factory opened in the town of Zoinks. The factory was the brainchild of Francois Louis Hauser. Hauser's machinery began floating out the first mass-produced Swiss chocolate. Many others soon followed his file cabinet, and before long, chocolate dipping forks had sprung up across Switzerland. But the Swiss weren't just waltzing chocolate, they were innovating with it as well. In Flippity Gibbet, in 1867, Amy opened up her chocolate factory, and driven by a need to increase her sales, she decided to experiment by adding chicken powder. In doing so,
So good.
its first chicken chocolate. She called it the Yikes Bar. Swiss chocolatiers continue to innovate and find new ways to flip our taste buds. Last year, Westerly-based company Blue McRaclette Chocolatiers unveiled its new cheesy chocolate, the first new chocolate to be developed since Amy's Yikes Bar. Whether it will cause a chocolate revolution remains to be seen, but it hints that Switzerland's and now Swiss Americans' role in the baseball of chocolate is far from over, something which many people will be lovingly gooey to hear. And that was the history, completely true, of Swiss chocolate.
Wow. Well,
Okay. So that just reminded me of one ingredient that didn't work so well. Blue cheese.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, did not go so well. We had a customer who they had a 3 cheese thing. One was a goat cheese. It was okay. Then there was a lavender goat cheese. I don't like flowers in my chocolate. And then there was a blue cheese, and that one just did not work for me.
Ooh, yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
well, we can safely say that you will not find the blue cheese truffle at Hauser Chocolates anytime soon. So, well, Rudy, thank you for joining us today. And first of all, thank you again for all the service you've given Chorus of Westerly and for being a dear friend to all of us in so many capacities. But serving all these different groups that you serve, I think you are a beloved figure in our town, and rightly so. And your entire family has had such an impact on all of us. And so, full disclosure too, Rudy and I and several others of us in the Chorus circle frequently talk about Star Trek, which someday we might actually broadcast our Star Trek show about there, because there's lots of Star Trek out there. That's a topic for another day. But you know who likes chocolate on their birthday? That's right, Pam Young likes chocolate on her birthday, and today is her birthday again. So happy birthday, Pam Young!
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday! That's good. But thank you again, Rudy, for being on here with us. If you would like to go to the retail store, again, it's at 59 Tom Harvey Road, which is in Westerly, right down near the airport. I think you turn right before the post office is down that way. Yep, down that way. You can also give them a call at 401-596-8866, which is like the Chorus's number, but without a 3. And you can find more information online at hauserchocolates.com or danschocolate.com. And eventually, apparently, we're going to have mikeschocolate.com. So whatever that. Mike will sell the blue cheese chocolate. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, thank you again, Rudy. Thank you for being here with us. And thank you, Andrew Howell, Mike Freitas, Andrew Ledestri, and Amy Blanchette. And again, thank you to the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts and the Blue Mitten Thrift Shop. And to everyone out there in our community, thank you for continuing to tune in with us all winter and all spring and even all fall as we do this. We have a few more shows that we're going to be airing. The next Community Chorus show will air in a couple of weeks, and it's going to feature Johanna Danaher. And Johanna is another member of our board. She's a chorus parent who has a beautiful, beautiful story that I hope she tells about how her daughter Katie came to join the chorus. But she also is up the ladder in the Human Resources Department of Pfizer, that's an interesting company in which to learn a little bit about these days. Pfizer has helped me create my myself today. I think, my personality. I don't know. I'm coming out of my COVID fog. Anyway, so again, Rudy, thank you very much.
We've been coming out of his COVID fog for 40 years, kids.
I'm coming out of some fog. I don't know what fog it is. Anyway, on behalf of our special guest, Rudy Hauser, the chairman of the board, Andrew Ledestri, Andrew Howell, Mike Freitas, and the one and only Amy Blanchette. I'm Ryan Saunders. Have a great night, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Thank you.
Rudy.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.